All right. It is time. It is time for the long-awaited Triforce Blitz Tournament live qualifier. I am Elagatua, and we have a large field of 32 runners that are ready to kick off this 2-hour race. This is the live qualifier for the tournament, and this is purely for seeding. So anybody who is getting one Triforce piece in this race is going to qualify for the tournament. But if you get a seed, then you're going to get a better first round matchup. And this is the biggest Triforce Blitz race there's ever been. So I am so excited. It's been in the works for months, and this is the moment that I've been looking forward to share with all of you. And you're going to get an amazing treat today. We've got 4 runners to show off on our restream today. We've got Cinny, Mr. Martin, the Tenacious Toad, and Krez. And these are some of the names that I recognized from a lot of the practice races that we've been doing leading up to the qualifier, as well as the wild card, Mr. Martin, who's an old pal of mine from, we go way back, and he's been doing a bunch of asyncs leading up to this race, and is a very skilled player, and I'm very excited to see kind of how he takes to the Triforce Blitz format. As we wait for the last runners to get ready so that we can start, quickly explain some of the rules and differences of Triforce Blitz for those of you who have never seen this and have no idea what's going on. Would the rules fit in a command? Well, there's a website kind of dedicated to the rules, but I'm going to give you the lowdown. So Triforce Blitz is a 2-hour race. You can see the timer has a count down from 2 hours instead of a count up. And the objective of a Triforce Blitz race is to find the 3 Triforce pieces. They are hidden in dungeons, only in dungeons, not in the overworld, only in dungeons. The 3 Triforce pieces are hidden in dungeons throughout the seed. And there are going to be some really strong hints that allow our runners to try and narrow down where those Triforce pieces are and get to them as fast as possible. And if you didn't catch that, they are in dungeons. The reason I emphasize that is because it is infamous for everybody's first Triforce Blitz run to forget that they are in dungeons, and then they end up getting lost. We do have trackers on the side. They're kind of hard to see because they're all translucent, but as the items start filling themselves in, they will be revealing themselves. But yeah, and you may be wondering what those things are in the center of your screen near the bottom. The power, wisdom, and courage counts. Those are what we call the path count hints, and we will be getting these right at the beginning of the seed. And what these numbers represent are the number of path items on the way to each of the 3 Triforce pieces. And so these will probably be numbers between 0 and 20. If it's more than 20, then we're in for a rough time. But basically, the lower the number, the less items required to find the Triforce piece, and probably the faster it's going to be. So I think we are just waiting on Fabio to ready up, and we should be underway any moment now. All right, looks like everybody is ready. I think we are good to go. Give me a moment. I will get this thing underway so that we can get this party started. All right, countdown has begun. We will be starting in the Temple of Time. It looks like we are starting with storms, so that's going to be an interesting one. Looks like our medallions are Deku, Spirit, and then the Free. medallion. So we'll see if song logic becomes a thing. That's very common. And already we have some variants here. Oh boy, that's a 2011 one. Oh baby, yeah, that's a 20. Okay, so we are already in danger mode. So when you start with a 1, it's really common for 1 to be an item that is either like a song locked thing, or maybe like bombs or hookshot or something like that. But in this case, when we have a starting Song of Storms, I think Krez actually has a pretty good strategy here. And rushing bottom of the well is a pretty reasonable play here to pick up that 1 as quickly as possible. In the event that the runners do not find all 3 Triforce pieces before the 2-hour time limit, we will go by the time that the runner found their most recent Triforce piece. So, for example, if they found their second piece at like 1 hour 30 minutes in, then their finish time is 2 pieces and 1 hour 30. And we can always use that to get a finish order, even if people don't find all 3 pieces. So that 20 count, that's terrifying. And there's a good chance that maybe even nobody is able to get all 3 pieces, depending on the layout of this seed. But wow, and Lon Lon is on Path of Courage, so it's actually not Storms. So that's actually really good for Krez, because now Krez is not going to get baited straight into the well looking for the Courage piece. Now a lot depends on what that song is in Lon Lon Ranch, or if it could just be like Kokiri Sword as well. But we know that there's 1 path item, and that is the only hard required item that will lead to that Courage piece. So when you have a path counts like this that are very different, a lot of our runners may be anticipating that 20 path count piece may be impossible to finish within the 2 hours. As we see a boomerang show up, that's our first major item, Mr. Martin getting the boomerang. But so I think we should keep our eyes on Krez's stream, because we're going to be finding out what this Lon Lon path is very shortly, and that's going to probably give us a very clear indication of what dungeon Courage is going to be. Now, Triforce Blitz, having a 2-hour time limit, is not about clearing the whole seed. That's not what we're about in Triforce Blitz. Triforce Blitz is all about using the plethora of information that we have and going to the right dungeon and skipping absolutely as much as possible. And it looks like we have a scale on the box, and we also have bomb shoes. In Triforce Blitz, bomb shoes always show up in big chests, but the logic for bomb shoes is the same as normal. So bomb shoes are never considered in logic, but that could be really good for Krez to be able to potentially avoid some sort of very trolly chain for a logical bomb bag that could add a lot of steps to the path count, but might not actually be necessary. And that's Bolero, and now I have questions. So let's see what's back here. I have a feeling that there's just going to be a Kokiri Sword or something like that in the back here, and that's on Mr. Martin's screen. Oh, we have a Stone of Agony, and that is Rudo's letter. Wow, what is going on? So Jabu available already if they can get access. Woods Bolero, what the heck? What? Okay, well, wow, I've never seen that before. I've never seen a One Piece that is, is locked by Bolero only. And I've played a lot of Blitz. So that's completely wild. So the piece can just be any check in the dungeon. And actually, the medallions and stones don't really matter. We are not even showing them on our tracker. Because the only thing that matters is to be able to get to where the Triforce pieces are and find them. Beating dungeons does not mean a thing unless you... I mean, the bosses can drop Triforce pieces, potentially, because they are a check. But otherwise, the medallions and stones would only be necessary to unlock songs, potentially. Now, with 11 path and 20 path, that probably will be necessary. When you get path counts that high, a lot of times you need to get the song that's on Nocturne of Shadow or on Ocarina of Time, or maybe some other check that's locked behind multiple dungeons, like Light Arrow Cutscene, something like that. But whenever you have a logical requirement like that, as we see GTG show up on the Path of Power as well, whenever you have a song buried that deep, clearing those dungeons are going to be a priority, depending on what the logic of the seed actually is. Something else that's new in Triforce Blitz is a few dungeon shortcuts are enabled. So those shortcuts are enabled in Forest Temple and Jabu Jabu's Belly. And we have an Ice Cavern Foolish. Wow. That's very interesting. So that's one less possible place where an out-of-logic accessible Triforce piece could be. Very interesting. I can feel the sweat emanating from all of our runners already, as that 20 count piece is looking more and more foreboding as the opportunities to circumvent a lot of the logic are disappearing before our eyes. But anyway, back to the dungeon shortcuts. So the design of Triforce Blitz is intended to let you try to go to wherever you think the Triforce piece is as soon as you can get there and skip as much as possible. So we don't really want to have people clear barren dungeons for just medallions if they don't need anything in the dungeon. So pretty much every dungeon in Triforce Blitz has some sort of option to go directly to the boss, so that if you only need the medallion, you can actually get in and out very quickly. After all, we're on a 2-hour time limit, so we don't really have time to clear all of barren Forest Temple or anything like that. So for Forest Temple, the elevator starts off being up, and in Jabu, the platform is already down, so you can go straight to the boss. And for pretty much every other dungeon other than Shadow Temple, there is some other major skip available that allows you to go straight to the boss. But you may be asking, what about the boss keys? It doesn't really help a whole lot. And the answer is that in Triforce Blitz, there aren't any. So no boss keys in any of the dungeons, so you can just run straight to the boss and kill them if you think it's the right play. So we have a lot of our other runners now following up on that Lon on the Path of Courage. And it looks like we've got an early River play from Tenacious Toad. River ends up being a pretty good play in Triforce Blitz. Ooh, and there's a strength upgrade there. Because in Triforce Blitz, we have a number of new hints, and the hint distribution is stacked with a ton of path hints. We have a potential for 10 path hints, which is double the amount in Season 5. And we also have 5 barren hints. So that's a lot of information that is available if you can find it. So going to places where the hints are plentiful is often a very good idea to allow you to avoid those barren areas and to try and skip all the areas that don't actually have items that you need. However, what we're learning in this seed is that looks like pretty much all the dungeons are going to be required other than Ice Cavern, because we have Ganon's path, and we have GTG path, and we have Bottom of the Well path, And I'm sure we're going to find more path. In Triforce Blitz, the hints are skewed to prioritize dungeons. So any sort of barren dungeons or path dungeons will be hinted with priority above overworld locations. And so the idea is we don't really want to reward people going dungeons blindly without some sort of information about that there's going to be a useful item there. In some seeds, that might be a good strategy, but not in all seeds. And we want to have people have the ability to strategize based on the path counts of their seed. And so in this seed, strategy is going to be a really big factor. A seed where the path counts are lower is like, for example, a 5-4-1 seed. You might want to play a very different strategy than something like this where it's 1-11-20. And maybe that 20 piece is just not going to be doable in under 2 hours. And the finish position might totally be determined by your time finding that 11 piece, or maybe even that time finding the 1 piece. There's a lot we don't know. So trying to prioritize certain pieces could be a very strategically beneficial choice. And in this race, we're probably going to see that. And whoever finds that 1 piece and who chases that Bolero path is probably going to secure themselves at least a decent finish based on their tiebreaker alone. Now, as some people have mentioned in the chat, Ganon's Bridge is only it's 2 dungeon rewards, but basically what that means is that you can get into Ganon's castle as soon as you beat any 1 dungeon. So if you get any sort of medallion or stone other than your starting one, then you'll be able to get into there. And we have a Shadow Temple on the Path of Wisdom. Wow, so that is going to add a lot of items to that path. So we know that something is logically required in Shadow Temple, and that means that Dins and Nocturne are for sure on the Path of Wisdom. We know that much. It's also possible that there could be a Path Magic, and pretty likely that there's going to be a Path Hover Boots as well. So I have a feeling that as soon as the players figure out that Shadow Temple information, chasing those Path of Wisdom items is going to be a big priority. Oh, and speaking of magic, Krez has just found magic in the Sunsong Redet Grotto, and that is very interesting because if that is a path magic, then that also means that Sunsong is going to be Way of the Hero. And so that's actually probably good news for our runners. If there's a lot of very simple things that add numbers to that path count, it makes it more and more likely that that piece is going to be accessible under the 2-hour time limit. Oh, and we have a hammer in Lake. Mr. Martin getting a big payout there. And don't think that's going to be necessary for our courage piece because we already know that Bolero is path. But that could be relevant if Fire Temple has something, because the only way that the only way that Bolero could be path like this is probably if there's a lot of stuff locked in Fire Temple, and that stuff might require a hammer. So that's a really good find for Martin, and that trip to Lake is paying out big time. Looks like we've got our first look at Bottom of the Well now. It will be interesting to see if the path item here is available without ZL. Bottom of the Well ends up being a very good play a lot of the time. It's just very fast. And we have big chests all over the place. And look at that, big chest bomb shoes showing up for Mr. Martin in the Kokiri sword chest. Bomb shoes are in big chests in Triforce Blitz. It makes the seeds less dependent on luck, and it helps kind of reduce the randomness of the seeds. Triforce Blitz is all about having skill be the most important thing, and so that's one of the changes that that increases that skill cap. We also see a nice grab of that scale with the boomerang. Still not sure that we have logical access to that strength 1 that was in the upper river. And it's going to be a real mess for me to try and keep track of all the logic while watching 4 people simultaneously. It's hard enough with 1. Is that 30 bomb chews? Oh my goodness.
Well, I'm here to help.
Oh, thank goodness.
Hello!
Hey, welcome.
Chad, hi Ella. Sorry that I'm a bit late. I literally just jumped off another room. And bottom of the well past power is what I'm seeing here. Not quite sure, obviously, what we've seen, so apologies if I call out things what we've seen in the next few minutes, but hi Chad.
Well, allow me to give you a quick recap because we've got a doozy.
Oh boy.
This is a bona fide Triforce Blitz. So our path counts are 20, 11, and 1.
Good start.
Yeah, not really. But we have all the dungeons path on power pretty much, like you'd expect. And we have a hard confirmed path Bolero on the path of courage. Yeah, you heard that right. Bolero is hard confirmed path for the 1 count Triforce piece. So, yeah, so we're all just kind of wondering why. I've never seen that before. Lots of theories about why that could be, but we've got a bunch of items showing up early, and a lot of bomb chews. So people are getting around the missing bomb bag pretty easily. We have a hammer and sphere 1 in child fishing. So that's going to be challenging, and we have a bazillion big chests in bottom of the well because it's bottom of the well.
Okay, so the hard confirmed Bolero can mean a few things. It could mean logically beans required to get to whatever's on the volcano. Have we peeked that yet?
We have not. So everybody went to Child to get Bolero, which was on Epona's song, and pretty much everybody is still in Child and has not gone back Adult yet, which is understandable considering that Bottom of the Well is Path and Storms was the starting song. So everybody wants to, I think, take a trip over to Bottom of the Well, and you're seeing many people meander over there. Also, we haven't had an early Rudos and an early Boomerang, so certainly the possibility for Jabu to be a thing, but Ice Cavern is foolish. But yes, you're absolutely right about those beans. That could definitely be possible. There's an outside chance that all dungeons could be locked, or clearing any dungeon could be locked behind Bolero, because maybe you need Bolero to be able to clear Fire Temple, but then forest access could be locked on Bolero, and so maybe you could go clear forest after that, or bomb bag for Dodongo, something weird like that for a piece in Ganon's castle. The piece could also be in Fire Temple, maybe.
But basically in the check near the boss door, right? That's basically the only location that would be one step, if that ends up being the case. And Hookshot has to be locked somehow behind that Bolero. Both Hookshots have to be, and others as well. I'm going to call that unlikely.
Yeah, so this could be like a very weird seed where maybe there's like 2 scales. I don't even know how that'd be possible, but like maybe multiple ways to buy a bean, or something weird. So we really just don't know like how weird it is, because it could always be multiple bomb bags kind of locked in Fire Temple, making neither path, but then it being bomb locked. And also Mr. Martin taking a death there, getting sniped down by the Deku Scrub. So that Scrub's getting a promotion. But not too big a deal, because you just reset to the beginning of that area.
Alright, so we have... I mean... Do you think any of our runners are actually going to go for the Triforce of Power, or are they just going to be happy to... basically find the Courage and Wisdom ones?
I think that some will. Sorry about that. I think some will. I have been guilty of hubris often, and targeting and failing to get something like a 20 piece because it's fun. And I have hurt myself in my tiebreaker time vastly because of that. But I think everything is really going to come down to the wisdom piece. We know a decent amount about the wisdom piece because we have Shadow Temple, Path of Wisdom, and so that kind of gives you a decent direction on what kind of things you're going to need.
Graveyard Path of Wisdom as well. Okay, so that gives us some indication of where we're looking. Shadow Temple, Well, and Graveyard. I'm also seeing Well on the Path to Power, as well as GTG and Ganon's Castle.
Yeah, it's probably all the things on Path to Power. One of the interesting things about that Graveyard Path is because of the hint layout in Triforce Blitz, any dungeon location will always be hinted before any overworld location on a path. And so the fact that we had an overworld location hinted on the Path of Wisdom in that Graveyard hint means that every single path item that is in a dungeon that leads to the Triforce of Wisdom is going to be hinted somewhere in this seed. It's guaranteed. It may not be hinted as the Path of Wisdom. If it's shared between Power and Wisdom, then it could be hinted on the Path of Power. But we know that every dungeon that a runner needs to do to get that Triforce of Wisdom is going to be hinted on a hint stone somewhere.
Interesting. Okay, so that means the entire path to wisdom would be found on hint stones.
Only the dungeon ones. So there could be a lot of pieces or a lot of items on the overworld that would not be hinted for wisdom. But if you go to all the hinted dungeon locations, for example, and you've cleared all of those, and you haven't found what you need, you can be guaranteed that the stuff that you're missing is on the overworld, or at least the path things that you're missing are on the overworld, and so you won't need to randomly try to go to other dungeons to clear for those missing path items.
Side note, I see Well is double Path to Power as well. We have 2 Path to Power hints in SFM, as well as 1 in the Kokiri Forest. So IGC Path to Wisdom. Okay. Great. That's in the Lost Woods Bombable Grotto.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where our strength upgrades show up. Ganon's Castle infamously has Light Trial, and Light Trial ends up being a factor pretty often in Triforce Blitz because there's just a lot of checks there. And if strengths end up showing up in path locations, then that's something that our runners may take notice of and assume that there's some need to get into the Light Trial in Ganon's Castle because that's almost half the checks there. And so if Ganon's is path, then decently often it's going to be Light Trial making an appearance.
Interesting. Okay.
We're still waiting on our runners to make it back adult to chase that Bolero hint. I think this is still a pretty good prioritization of what they need to get done because realistically, there's a good chance that the wisdom piece is going to be attainable in the 2 hours. 11 is not that deep, especially when you know that Shadow Temple is going to be probably contributing a lot of the numbers to that 11 count. So it doesn't necessarily matter how fast you find courage. The most important thing is how fast you find courage and wisdom. And that's going to be the thing that really matters for the placement of the top players.
It's going to be interesting to see if anyone is able to find all 3 Triforce pieces here. If they are, I'm going to assume they're going to get a bit lucky in figuring out a few skips, or as in skipping a few parts of the path or skipping a few steps on the path to power here, which is certainly possible.
Yeah, and when you have a path that is that high, that's pretty much something that you should be thinking of as your plan A, is to see if you can figure out where the piece is, but then also try to see if there's any way that you can maybe get around the logic, because you only have 2 hours, and 20 items is a lot of items. And if they are laid out in dungeons in a way that just requires like a lot of time, like if you have a dungeon or if you have an item in Deep Forest and Deep Fire and Deep Shadow and Deep Spirit, eventually it's just too much for 2 hours, and so it can be impossible. But one thing that's making me skeptical is that Ice Cavern was hinted foolish, and Ice Cavern often is one of the best opportunities for runners to get outside the logic. If there's like a song there that is buried really deep behind Rudo's letter that you can get with hovers out of logic or something like that, or a ZL somewhere that is not actually hard required, then often Ice Cavern is the way to bypass that. But we know that Ice Cavern's foolish. It was hinted that way very early, and that just reduces the number of opportunities that runners have to get outside what is likely to be a very oppressive logic.
Yep, we just saw that hint again on Cinny's stream there. So yes, absolutely, Ice Cavern foolish also means that based on the songs that we know, the fact that we have it has to be either Prelude or Serenade in Ice Cavern, because those are the only two songs that don't unlock any checks.
Yeah,
I mean, Prelude would be a nice convenience song, but certainly not worth going to Ice Cavern on its own.
Yeah, and part of the power of Ice Cavern is just the ability to potentially bypass a huge chain of items. Like if you have that Nocturne in Ice Cavern, and Rudo's is locked behind 16 items, but you know that you just need Nocturne to get into Shadow Temple. A lot of times you can bypass a lot of the logic that way and get to something that is technically 20 items deep, but maybe you can get there in an hour. But we know that there's not going to be any sort of valuable song for logic skipping in Ice this seed. So there's just less opportunities. They're still out there. There's some things you can get around ZL in Bottom of the Well, for example. There's potential for like the scale we've gotten out of logic, and I don't think we have logical explosives yet either. So who knows where that logical bomb bag is? We potentially could be bypassing a crazy chain for bomb bag with these plentiful bomb chews that have shown up. But there's a lot we don't know. And I think we'll know more when we find a logical bomb bag later on. Probably behind Bolero is where that's going to end up showing up. But there's a real question of like, well, how deep are we really at this point?
Interesting. Okay, there's a strength for Cinny. We had already seen that on the side, or on the streams of Toad and Krez.
So it looks like it's adult time for Krez. So this is going to be very interesting to see what the song is on Bolero. We're about to get a lot of information about where this courage piece is going to be. And a lot of it's going to depend on what's in early fire and what's on this song and what's on top of the volcano. And I have a feeling we're going to find out immediately, as Krez probably takes Bolero there right away.
Yeah, I can't imagine anything else, considering Courage has exactly one step, and that severely curtails where that piece can be.
I want to call out a very important development before we see this. Cinny just got another magic on Frogs 1. And so unless Bomb Bag is somewhere magic locked, that means that the Redead Grave, that's locked behind Sunsong in the graveyard, is not logical magic, probably. And so that's actually probably bad news, because that would have added a lot more items to the path count.
Okay,
That's
side
ZL
note.
and Bolero.
ZL on Bolero and a bundle of arrows on the volcano. So I'm 100% expecting Cress, to dip Fire Temple now to see if anything is in those first two checks that you don't need anything else for except access, basically.
Yeah, so that's not super surprising. That actually kind of clarifies a lot of things because that means that probably all the hook shots and hover boots are all locked behind ZL, but maybe the Triforce piece is just early in Fire.
Side note: we have seen a wallet in Well, so given that, if there is a Goron tunic available somewhere, that would remove the Goron tunic from the number of steps contributing towards courage, correct?
Yes, as long as there's multiple ways to get a Goron tunic, then it's not going to be required. It's the classic example I give to people is the idea of a zero path Dodongo's Cavern where there's multiple bomb bags in Sphere Zero, and so technically you could skip either of the bomb bags, and so they don't count as a step, even though you still need a bomb bag. That's just one of the quirks of path hints.
Alrighty. So with that, this chest that Cress is checking right now is 100% possibly a Triforce piece, and it is a big chest, and that is our Triforce piece of courage. Cress,
the way you said that,
first one to find the Triforce piece, a Triforce piece on Restream here.
Yeah, the way you said that was probably the most emblematic statement of Triforce Blitz ever, because you said like that big chest is definitely, maybe, possibly a Triforce piece. So yeah, I feel that deep in my soul.
Welcome to Triforce Blitz.
So Krez wisely planted a bean in the crater, and no hammer though, so it's going to limit the number of checks that can be done here in Goron City. But for routing purposes, that's really nice because this may turn into an upper crater and potentially even like a adult SFM play to get an extra song. All right, and on Cine's stream, we have another thing that's worth discussing: the first Way of the Wanderer hint, and that's probably the only Way of the Wanderer hint in this seed. In fact, I'd bet $1 that it was the only Way of the Wanderer, and that's a DMC Way of the Wanderer. So, Way of the Wanderer, for those of you who are not familiar with this hint, is some kind of item that is on the playthrough that is not hard required to beat the seed. So it's useful, but it's not required, and it's probably in this chest that's about to open. Huh?
A bottle.
Interesting. Not sure that that's it. It could also be in the fairy fountain in Crater, but so anyway, there's going to be something here in DMC that is used but not hard required to beat the seed. And it could be something like a bomb bag or a hook shot or let's pause there. Let's ponder that development.
Yeah. I mean, I have an idea what power might be.
So let's that's probably good news for all of our runners, to be honest. So whenever you see a 20, something really high like this, there's almost always some kind of 3 dungeon song involved. Because the only way that you can get up to like 20 items being required is if you need the items to beat a whole lot of dungeons. And Requiem being on OT, that's really suspicious as something that could be logically required. Now, the good news is that Requiem is sometimes, quote, required, unquote. And so if that's like the ultimate destination, and we need like 17 items to get Requiem, then there's a chance that there's a way into Adult Spirit that does not actually require Requiem, and could allow our runners to bypass a lot of these required items.
If we can skip the haunted wasteland somehow, or rather, do it. Walk through the haunted wasteland without having lens of truth.
Yes,
then...
or it could also just be for key logic.
Oh, also true. Yeah, as long as we find a key on adult side, that is a point.
Yep, the classic 10 items to get 1 small key in Child Spirit to get an item like in the top of Spirit.
Disgusting. All right. So since it's getting asked in chat, quick question: can the bottle be a wanderer item? I say no, because Rudo's letter counts as a bottle for accessing Jabu Jabu.
Yeah, I don't believe so. And if you're new to some of the logical implications of the bottle contents, the fact that blue fire is in the bottle is never considered, because technically you could empty that bottle of blue fire, and so if that was considered somehow, then that would be like something that you could screw up so hard that you got locked. So that's never considered by the logic.
Though the bottle can absolutely be required for blue fire, because all we need to get into Ganon's castle in Blitz is 1 dungeon reward.
Yep, absolutely. But the fact that there is blue fire in that bottle is not specifically significant.
Yeah.
All right, so it looks like we got Dodongo's Cavern on tap. And I have a feeling that this is primarily a play to open up Ganon's castle, because Krez knows that Ganon's castle is on the path. And as we mentioned earlier, you need to beat 1 dungeon in order to open it up. And Dodongo's Cavern with strength and with bomb shoes is a pretty good option. Oh, Market Foolish. Oh, I love it. Makes you feel good in your soul every time.
Oh, yeah.
Just so many annoying checks that get knocked out by that. Pose and lens game and shoe bowling with the bombs missing in action. Not missing in action.
Speaking of, hello bombs. Zora dive.
Wow, and strength 2 into Dodongos. Interesting. Very, very interesting. So if we can get over that bridge at some point, Spirit is going to be accessible, at least a little bit. Ooh, lens is there on dive, so probably means that, well, it lessens the likelihood of Requiem being path for a song, because there's a good chance that logically we're going to be able to get across there, because lens often is the thing that kind of logically locks it when it's not necessary. It's like Martin is just planting a bean, seeing what's on top of that crater. He was probably as suspicious as we were a few minutes ago before we knew that it was for ZL.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And, planting a bean, just a really good idea in this seed. If you have Bolero Path, you know that there's going to be hookshots and hovers locked somewhere silly. And planting that bean, especially with him having the hammer, is just going to make his adult routing really, really good, and give him access to the Goron City checks that you can do with hammer and the other DMC checks, and maybe later on even get him to that minuet check to get an additional song pretty quickly. Wow, another big chest in Dodongo's Cavern. Nope, just a power-up. But definitely lots of questions about where is the logical bomb bag and how many items is that actually going to add to the count. It can't add too many because we have Shadow Path on Wisdom, and so we know that that's going to be contributing a lot. But we don't really have any of the items that are leading to Shadow Temple yet. No dins and no hovers. Kind of a lot of the helper items like strength upgrades and bows and stuff, but still a lot of stuff locked down. No hook shots or anything like that. But yeah, a lot of people finding their way to Dodongo's Cavern on the path to Ganon's castle for sure. And it looks like Cine is going to be getting that bomb bag in Zora's domain pretty soon as well.
Yeah, in a few seconds. Just needs to get flame storage first. Oh, Toad not quite getting the bomb flowers to explode at the right time.
He has the strength upgrade, so I just wish he would maybe plant the bomb flower there instead of going for the swag strats. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love the swag, but I'm also kind of well known for saying that just do the easy thing instead of trying to pretend to be good, because often when I try to pretend to be good, it ends badly.
Might not be remembering that he does have the strength upgrade here.
That's okay. He
ended up
learned to bomb shoot. It's all good.
That's one way to do it.
Unfortunately, Mr. Martin does not know that the market is foolish and is bombing the poor lady in frustration. But I think he will find out, much to his chagrin, in 2 minutes when he goes to Bolero and gets that hint.
So KLO in chat pointing out that what you just said might have been misunderstood. I think you said that from your perspective and not about Toad. Don't pretend to be good.
Yes.
Because one thing for sure, we're not gonna trash talk our runners here. These are all top tier runners who are very good at what they do. It's just that sometimes it might be a better idea to do the basic strat if you feel like you might not be as Ravaged Village has Sunsong. Okay.
No, I mean that's completely what I said. I said that that I don't try to pretend to be good by doing really tough strats, because a lot of these strats, if you do it right, you save 2 seconds, but if you miss it, then you lose like 20. There's a reason that I never skip the box in Jabu, even though I've been playing for 3 years.
Yeah, I mean, I don't skip the box either. I'm not even putting time into learning how to do that. And yes, at the moment the stream is a bit choppy. We apologize. We're working on fixing that tech issue.
So unfortunately, Martin is getting max time loss by clearing Foolish Market. Not really anything you can do about that. That's just life. But Cine is going for Jabu. This is probably just assuming that the medallion is useful, or just trying to open up Ganon's early. I don't know if Cine knows that Jabu is foolish, but I do know that Cine knows that Jabu is almost always foolish in Triforce Blitz. So I think we know that Jabu is a stone. So if Requiem ends up being a thing, then this might be efficient. Or if Ganon's has an item that's very early on, not locked behind anything, this still could be a good play, even if Jabu is foolish. Yeah, it looks like DC, Jabu, and Forest are the stones. So those are some very fast 3 dungeons for a song. And getting Jabu out of the way could make things very convenient in order to get that Requiem very quickly if it ends up being required. And for all we know, yeah.
it might fit. DC, Jabu, and Forest all have pretty low item requirement individually. DC needs explosives, Jabu needs a boomerang on Ruler's Ladder, and Forest needs hookshot hookshot strength and a bow. But coming together, that might very well add up to 20 steps.
Yeah, and there's a few interesting caveats here. So Forest actually, in Triforce Blitz, this is the only difference between Triforce Blitz and the Season 5 logic.
Yeah, shortcuts.
Yeah, so that shortcut means that Phantom Ganon is in logic with only a hookshot. So that is the only thing that's different about Triforce Blitz logic than regular logic. Every other check in the game is exactly the same as Season 5, except for those 2 checks in Forest that are available with a hookshot. But Forest Access is one of those things where we don't have it yet, as far as I know, and that is another very easily skippable thing that could add a whole lot of steps to the path count that in practice are bypassable. So that's another thing to keep your eye on. So it looks like we've got some Ganon's access open up for some of our runners, and Martin making his way into Fire Temple, and looks like he will be picking up his Triforce Piece of Courage momentarily. Very interested to see what Martin does after Fire Temple. We know that DMC is Wanderer, and Martin has that hammer. We might get a peek at the fairy, and I just have a sneaking suspicion that whatever's in that fairy fountain is going to be the Wanderer item.
Good point.
He may end up choosing to go deeper into fire, though, because with that Bolero path, he must know that all of the hook shots and hovers are somehow locked reasonably deep in here. And speaking of gold...
Oh, wow. Shredder gifting a 5-pack. Thank you so much for your support. Oh, hey! That's Mr. Martin finding the Triforce of Courage here.
Yep.
And, okay, wow. And hi, Rudo's Letter.
Yeah, so most of the other runners had picked up the Rudo's Letter already. Chris decided to go child first instead of adult, perhaps thinking that one path was going to be for Song of Storms, which was the starting song, then finding out that Lon Lon was actually the path for Courage, and kind of routing on the fly from there. But so actually, Krez is just getting to CAC for the first time. Yeah, and so Temple of Time Foolish. So we know where both of the Prelude and Serenade songs are. Well, they're both vanilla, actually. We just don't know if they're vanilla in that order. That's kind of unfortunate for our runners, because if they need to do a lot of age changes between adult and child, it's not going to be fun. But yeah, Martin gonna go deeper into fire, and this is the first that we've seen of hammerlocked fire. And I mean, I think this is a really good idea. The conventional wisdom should tell you that in a seed with Bolero path, surely fire is going to end up with some items.
Hopefully. I mean, as we know, or as we assume, our hookshot and hover boots all somehow need to be locked behind Bolero, because that is the only way that Bolero as one path item can reasonably be can reasonably work.
Yep, and Cinny is about to get the hammer. So that's a nice pickup for him as well. Lake is often something that's skipped in Triforce Blitz, especially without Serenade early. So the fact that they would put a pretty major item there is kind of a troll, but a lot of runners have been thorough, which is a good strategy often when the path counts are high, and that's been the play.
And there's Hammer for Sunny.
So it looks like Krez is going to give us our first look at Ganon's castle, as Krez has finished Dodongo's Cavern. Now the bridge is open, and we're going to get a couple of quick checks here, as there's about 4 or 5 checks in early Ganons that don't really require anything. And as well as those fire arrows, we may see a peek at the infamous Shadow 2, as that is something that only requires fire arrows if you have them. I'm starting to wonder if this is a seed where there's hovers chilling somewhere, and it could be a logical Ganon's castle locked behind Volvagia. When Iron Boots. That's what we wanted to see. Question mark.
Question mark. We'll leave it at the question mark.
Well, so that answers exactly none of our questions.
So chat says out of logic Ganon's castle. Haven't we gotten a single dungeon reward in logic yet?
I don't believe we have, because that scale so far is still out of logic, sitting on the TARDIS in Graveyard. And the bomb bag that we've gotten was behind domain, so behind the scale or behind ZL and explosives.
Interesting.
Oh, it's a big chest.
Oop.
Why?
I am not sure. Doesn't have hook shot.
That's okay. You can just...
Oh!
Not like that.
Whoop.
Alright, he's got enough magic to try this again about 8 more times, so I think he'll be okay.
There's another bow for Tenacious Toad.
Martin's doing Volv, by the way, and...
Oh! Crater Fairy.
Did we see Crater Fairy?
No, I mean, we have. Yeah, just now. That's a bow.
Maybe that's our Wanderer.
Oh, and a hook shot! Okay.
So that has to be Path Fire Arrows if we need that hook, right?
If that's the required hook, then yes.
That's horrifying.
Shadow Trial 2. Ugh. I mean, Rez is going to be happy that they found it. Just... where? Why? How? What?
That is a horrifying location for a first hook. What a mess. Yeah, and chat pointing out that fire arrows were ZL locked, so that is logically behind Bolero.
Okay. So Hammer was in Child Fishing, so that wasn't locked by anything. Which means that, logically, Volvagia might be the first dungeon we're expected to beat.
Yeah, I think it's definitely possible. Volvagia technically does not require bombs if you have the ability to buy a Goron Tunic, and...
we have a wallet.
We do, and you have a hammer. Mr. Martin, I think, took a death on Volv, unfortunately, so he's going for the very challenging strat here.
And there we go, Mr. Martin done with Volvagia. As I said earlier, the only way that the Triforce of Courage can be one step, though, is if we have both a wallet or 2 wallets available, or a wallet and a Goron tunic. So
that doesn't actually come into play in this situation because the first, so that first room where before Volvagia, as well as that second room, that's like the big open room. Those two don't actually require having a tunic.
Oh, do we have fewer tunic requirements on?
Well, so it's for Volvagia. Volvagia always requires it, and then climbing up on the little floating elevator thing.
Okay.
That's when the requirements start. So because of where that Triforce piece was, it doesn't actually tell us anything about whether we have a path wallet. So for all we know, like it could definitely be a path wallet still.
Okay. Right, Chris. Checking validation chest, deciding no, we're not doing that just for the heck of it. And playing Bolero.
So this might be Forest Temple, and he's got everything he needs to do it. And it's not a bad idea necessarily, because, I mean, maybe there's some crazy, like, requiem for forest access for logical Forest Temple.
Oh, hello, another big chest.
Why not?
Okay, iron boots. In water trial. Oh, right, Chris also showed us that. So I think we've established that Volvagia is logically beatable.
Maybe. I don't know about the full key layout. That's the question. I'm assuming that we can climb to the top. I mean, we have all the items that we need to, but we don't know about the key layout. So I'm assuming that you can get to the top without hovers. And if that's the case, then yes, Volvagia is in logic. I would assume that it's in logic. Let me put it that way.
Okay. Shenok, yeah, okay, the boss key alone doesn't give us access to Volvagia, though. We need either hover boots or need to be able to climb far enough up in Fire Temple to be able to hammer down the column that gives us vanilla access to Volvagia.
Yep, and a reminder that there are no boss keys in Triforce Blitz, so if you want to kill the boss, you just go to the boss.
Yeah.
And speaking of progression in gold, Cine about to get some gold.
And that's the third person on Restream to grab the Triforce of Courage. Right. We already know that Jabu is foolish. And 20 is dead. Oh, we already saw that in Valley.
There's a number of slow checks that are disabled in Triforce Blitz, such as 30, 40, 50 skulls, Frogs 2, Bigoron's claim check only, and actually Boomerang Chest in Jabu is always disabled. So that's why 20 is an always hint there, because 20 is the most number of skulls that you could ever need in a Triforce Blitz seed.
Okay, looks like Krez is headed towards Forest Temple in earnest.
Yeah, that's it's unlucky for Toad. Toad did not have magic in Ganon's and is going to miss that hook shot, and instead looks like this is going to end up being an early GTG play. But I don't think Toad has a bomb bag, so the option to go hook shotless is not really there unless either a hook shot shows up there or potentially another bomb bag or hover roots. So a little bit scary, but What? Did I see that right?
That's a bomb bag. Okay.
So, like I was saying, brilliant plan by Tenacious Toad, getting that bomb bag on the way, and just like he thought the entire time, going to be able to do hookshotless GTG if he wants.
Ha! All right. Happy 1 hour, by the way.
Happy
We've made it
1
halfway.
hour. Well, this has been a grueling seed so far. I'm sure all of our runners are sweating just thinking about whether they are going to be able to get to that second Triforce piece that, at least logically, is locked behind Shadow Temple somehow. We know that much. Don't really know a lot more than that. But looks like Krez didn't end up going for Forest. I don't know if we saw the song on Minuet there. I've been trying to keep track of other things. It looks like this might be a GTG play for Krez.
All right. I mean, 1 hour in, we usually use the opportunity to thank everyone who's making this restream possible. So thank you to everyone who's volunteering here. First of all, thank you to our trackers, Shannock, Lazy, Shredder, and Lady Draco for keeping track of what the hell is going on in this seed. Thank you also to our runners who agreed to be featured on Restream, Cindy, Mr. Martin, Tenacious Toad, and Krez. Thank you to our Restreamer, Hell Knight, for keeping up with tech issues and making sure this stream reaches your eyeballs. And thank you, of course, also to Elagatua for making Triforce Blitz and also being my co-commentator today.
Yes, and thank you for jumping on at the last second to help commentate with me. It was a kind of a rough ride solo commentating a race like this, so I'm glad to have you here.
Yeah, it's a bit chaotic. Solo comms for a 4-player restream is not my ideal afternoon. So I'm glad to help. And thanks, of course, to everyone who's watching. Hope you're having a great time. We're seeing Krez headed to GTG, Tenacious Toad slightly ahead of him.
Yes, but importantly, Krez having that hook shot, so it's going to be a lot easier for Krez to get through GTG. I don't know how comfortable Tenacious Toad is with the hook shotless GTG strats. It's a really good thing to learn, but I'm hoping he's going to be able to show off some sweet skills because it's pretty impressive when it's done well.
Hookshotless is interesting. It's doable enough that even I can sometimes pull it off, but it's still a sweet trick. And Mirror Shield sitting in GTG. Yeah, I'm thinking Triforce of Power is sitting in Spirit Temple. I'm always almost guaranteeing it.
Spirit definitely looming large. Still plenty of checks for other items to come and troll us, but yeah, it's always scary when you see a potential Mirror Shield path. Looks like Mr. Martin going to be heading towards Ganon's castle. He's got everything he needs to track down that hook shot with the fire arrows and the magic. And I kind of imagine that most of the players are going to end up following roughly this path here, going to Ganon's and then going to GTG to try and chase that hook shot. And we see a big chest coming up here behind Song of Time. Bum, 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 bum.
I'll be right back.
No worries. So, not really anything showing up behind Song of Time there. We have a Zora Tunic, but that is virtually never a thing. in Triforce Blitz. It's very hard for anything to be locked behind a Zora Tunic, considering that there's no boss keys. Krez doing a nice HBA there, and probably into GTG shortly after, as we see a slingshot show up. That's probably not important. And yeah, so for the bow, we have logical access to the bow using that hammer in DMC. I'm pretty sure that DMC Wanderer hint is actually pointing to the bow in the Crater Fairy. I'm pretty sure that is the most sane, logical bow.
Yeah, that seems reasonable. KLO asking logical toilet only if we have a dungeon that's clearable in logic. And so far, slim pickings.
Yeah, it does look like it's probably just Fire Temple, if I had to guess.
Yeah, and in that case, only if we can actually climb all the way to the top.
Yeah, which we should assume that you can, because...
We have to. Yeah. Otherwise, the logic doesn't make any sense.
We would have had to have missed some major item somewhere, and... high path counts usually mean trolly logic, and clearing Volvagia for Ganon's access would be pretty trolly.
Oh! And here's Tenacious Toad now showing us how hookshotless GTG is done.
Yep, and I imagine Krez will be right on his tail. Got to pick up that mirror shield, and...
probably worrying about that a bit.
Yeah, he's got a key, though. It's always nice to take a key and peek via the maze, just kind of see what's there. As I said, peeking the maze with a key, which he's not doing. Never mind. Just going for the right side.
I think Toad forgot about a silver rupee there. Did probably not get the hookshotless this time around, but I might be wrong.
We'll see.
We'll see in 3, 2, 1. Okay, he got it. All right.
Tenacious Toad being a pro.
What a gamer.
Ooh.
Just rolled into it. It's free. Oh,
nice. So yeah, getting the hookshot for GTG, not actually required for almost all the checks. If you know the magical floor master raising you to the heavens where the silver rupee awaits, and then a well-timed side hop to get you through that flame wall, and some bomb jumps, and that's pretty much all you need. And now those juicy, logically hookshot lock checks are available to the magicless Toad, who has missed out on his first chance at a hookshot.
Meanwhile, Crest finding a big chest here, and that is a Zora Tunic. Interesting. So that was May's right side.
That's a Shadow Temple power. I believe that's our second Shadow Temple hint. So I think Shadow's double. Maybe our trackers can confirm that for us.
I think we've run out of hint slots on the spreadsheet, but yeah, we have a Shadow Temple power.
Yeah, so that means there's probably a substantial overlap between the hints. So all the items that are leading to Shadow Temple are going to probably be on both Power and Wisdom, and maybe Wisdom's just going to be a little bit sooner, but it is interesting, though, because that probably means that Wisdom and Power are not in Shadow Temple. And Shadow Temple is a place where the Triforce pieces definitely like to hang out. So knowing that there's probably not a Triforce piece there is pretty important info. The only way that we could end up having a Triforce piece in Shadow Temple is if there was some kind of path item in Shadow Temple that led to a Triforce piece in later on in Shadow Temple. And right now, the only option for that is probably the hover boots, unless somehow there is a path bomb bag in Shadow Temple. Seeing crazier things, but I'm not assuming.
Okay, Toad seems to be done with GGG for now. Interesting.
Yes, might be time to cross. Or HBA as well is also, I think that might be first.
Yeah, Toad has a risky proposition ahead of him. He can cross to Adult Spirit, but he doesn't have CO, and so has only the chance to grab one check. It's either his key or he's out of luck.
Looks like Martin is taking a detour to Fountain. This might be chasing the irons, thinking that there could be something under the ice. We do know the ice is foolish, so I don't think he's going to ice to try and get a song, considering how little time he has left. But let's see if under the ice has anything. Could also be just a play for hints. That's something you see every now and then.
Ravaged Village mourns with Saria song. And HBA gives us the first slingshot.
Do we know where Minuet is?
We don't.
This could be a forest access seed. I hate to say it, but
Ooh, is that the meme arrows? Was that light arrows down there?
Doesn't look like Mr. Martin wants it. Light arrow is not useful in Triforce Blitz. We will not be seeing Ganon.
Nope.
Yeah, I'm thinking that maybe we have Minuet on Requiem and Saria's on Nocturne. Yeah, so Forest Temple looking very suspicious, as logically speaking, Forest could be locked behind a lot of songs, with the 2 songs to get into Forest Temple being buried very, very deep behind 3 dungeons and also in Requiem behind Crossing the Desert. And we do not have a logical way to cross right now, missing the long shot or hover boots. So it looks like that's it for Martin in the Fountain. Probably on to SFM. Real question will be, will Martin give us our first look at Forest Temple? Or now I don't know what Martin's doing. I'll stop speculating. We got some people crossing the desert, so time to see what Spirit Temple holds for us, rather.
Krez didn't quite make it across the sandpit there. Meanwhile, Toad has made it to Colossus. Has exactly 1 check that he can do here.
I'm not gonna lie, like Toad has been really, really solid on a lot of the kind of the tougher tricks. Like no problems with hookshotless and crossing the desert with no issues. That's something you can't take for granted in like a restreamed race or in a qualifier, because the nerves can definitely get to you and cause mistakes on some of this kind of fundamental stuff that you kind of take for granted. But Toad has been rock solid.
Side note, I stand corrected. Toad has... Toad has ZL, and he just grabbed his Strength 3.
I have a feeling we're going to see Light Trial this seed.
Yeah. I mean, he's probably gonna go as far as he can in Spirit Temple, but Light Trial is probably has just probably entered his agenda.
He's probably next, because that is an out-of-logic strength 3. Very, very interesting.
Yes, indeed.
What does it all mean? This looks like Martin gave us a quick peek at Forest, but looks like it's going to be Furor's down and out of there. I kind of think this might end up being GTG for Martin, following in the paths of our other runners. But Toad is heading in, and Krez will be on his heels, and Toad has one shot at a small key. So
I think he has
time
two.
to hold your breath.
He has CL, so he can.
He has no hook shot.
Oh, he has no hook shot. That is an argument.
So this is kind of a pivotal moment in the race, because is Spirit Temple available, and probably out of logic if it is available. We're going to find out in the next 2 minutes, and a whole lot rides on this.
IGC Path to Power. Did we have that already? We have not. That was the Colossus hint just now.
So it looks like maybe hookshot and irons. Or it could be just something in Light Trial too. Definitely not unheard of. And that was not a key.
Nope.
Well, let's see if Krez has any better luck.
Toad,
I think Toad is going to peek the other chest. Actually, we'll see it on Toad's side.
See what this is. Oh, hey.
Oh, no.
Okay, we're child locked. We need OoT to be in here. I think our runners might give up on the Triforce of Power at this point.
I'm scared for Krez. Krez did not do the Colossus Fairy. I really, really hope that he gets that Strength 3 before bailing out of here.
Oh, I'm sure you will.
I've been guilty of not doing a lot of things that I should have in Triforce Blitz races, so let's just hope he does.
So, Ganon's Castle to Forest? As for next place?
If I were Toad, I would definitely be doing Ganon's. Unfortunately, Toad still does not have magic, and so is not going to be able to get into Forest without the hook shot. We do know that Forest Temple now has to be very, very deep in the logic.
Yeah, it's
this could be like
dungeons to be able to get to Forest Temple.
Well, I wonder if this is not somehow like 3 dungeon for Nocturne to get Forest access through Saria's, because we have Forest in the desert, but it's Forest that locks Requiem, not the other way around.
Oh, you have a point there.
Which is actually probably good news for our runners, because if that's the case, like they can get Requiem with the items that they have now, and the skippable dungeons would be the ones for Saria's song. So there might be potentially a very big skip available. But Light Trial looked like it was empty. And Krez has one thing in mind, and that is to get Requiem as soon as possible. Probably chasing that mirror hint that we think GTG is path for mirror. That seems like the play. So timeline should not be an issue for that. I imagine that if he commits all the way for it, should have no trouble being able to clear all the spirit before the time limit becomes a factor. We're still looking for that wisdom piece. Seed is very, very challenging. If you want to know why Blitz is like one of the best tournament settings, this is why. There's so much challenge and so much room to improve as you gain more experience. Dealing with seeds like this is extremely complex strategically, and there's a tremendous amount of information to juggle. We're having trouble juggling it in the commentator's booth, and we don't even have to play the seed. So one thing about the time limit is that Triforce Blitz is not always intended to be completed within 2 hours. Some seeds are awful, and there's nothing that we can do to prevent certain seeds from being terrible. That's just part of Randomizer. So the time limit is there to kind of give us an ejection sheet from seeds that are really a mess. And so not finishing with all 3 pieces in under 2 hours is expected some of the time, and especially in a 20 count seed, that's expected almost all the time. So it's not a knock against our runners if we don't end up seeing all 3 pieces of the seed. It's working as intended, and that tiebreaker is the way that we can still crown a winner, and we can still get some good results, even if not everybody finds all the pieces.
All right, what have we learned in my absence?
Well, we've learned that we need Requiem. Light Trail didn't really have anything. We know that Requiem is after Forest, so if there's a piece in Spirit, my guess is that it's the 20. But that certainly leaves a lot of questions about where the 11 is.
The equipment for Forest has the advantage of mostly being duplicate, right? We have 3 bows, we have 3 strengths, and we have 2 hookshotguns.
Yeah, it's the access to Forest that is the big question, because both of the songs that that open up Forest Temple to us are most likely very deep in the logic, and it's a very open question about which way the seed expects us to be able to get there. Looks like Martin's in water chasing this this potential path Iron Boots. So I believe this is our first look at that. We will see if anything shows up here. Could potentially even be a place for something like a Wisdom piece if this is like 11 deep. It's kind of hard to say how deep this is. We do know that there's something in Shadow Temple that's required to get that Wisdom piece, but whether it's actually required, we'll see.
Here's magic for Toad, finally.
Yeah, I think Toad is going to be really sad later on when he finds out that hookshot is in Ganon's castle behind those fire arrows, having been there twice already and not finding it. I have a feeling he doesn't want to go back.
Understandably so, I think.
Yeah, it's just a tough break. So Martin was opening up the room there, but I don't think he can actually get that piece, or that chest, with no hovers and no long shot.
Okay, that's a key. Martin has enough keys, so he doesn't care.
Yeah, unfortunately, no hovers or long shots, so no chance at getting the boss key chest out of logic. Looks like this is going to be a peek at dragon chest. And will he go up to Dark Link and do those before heading out? Kind of remains to be seen.
I think if you have the means to do it, in a dungeon that is potentially, indeed, in the range of 11 steps, I think you do. I think you check as far as you can. Sunny, meanwhile, done with the stone dungeons, and has grabbed the Requiem of Spirit, and is headed straight to the desert.
Yeah, this is going to be very interesting. I'm extraordinarily curious to see what this turns out to be. I imagine we're not going to see anything more than keys in Child Spirit. After all, we have what we think is a path mirror shield in GTG, so anything in Spirit is likely to be buried behind that. But I couldn't even tell what was on top of the Colossus there. Looked like a wallet or a bomb bag.
Bomb bag, wallet, or bomb refill, or worst case double magic. But I think no, can't be double magic. We have double magic.
Curse my small screen. So Tenacious Toad is giving us a check of the ZL locked items in Well. I think that's only a handful of checks, but I don't think we've seen this before. Maybe chat can correct me. So it was Way the Hero a few times, so maybe we were missing an item there. Uh-oh. Oh, no!
Oh! Is that vanilla hovers?
That's in logic.
Oh, wait, that's not vanilla hovers, that's, ooh. Well hovers. The wrong dead hand.
What a mess. That's such an awful location for that. So now we have hard confirmed that fire's in logic, by the way. Because hover's guaranteed
yeah, you're right.
gives us access to Volve, so we're definitely into Ganon's castle logically at this point. And we definitely have logical access to a hook shot as well.
Okay, logical hookshot access. And ooh, logical crossing. Thanks Shannock for pointing that out. Yeah.
So we have logical forest temple now.
Forest temple's pretty deep.
It is pretty deep. So if there's anything, so that's interesting. What the heck is in Shadow Temple? Oh, right, we don't have logical crossing because of Epona. I take that back. Maybe it's going to be like long shot in Shadow.
Toad
This
following up
logic
on
is
that.
a real nightmare.
Do we get a spoiler log for this one?
Yeah, I've got it. I haven't looked at it, but I've got it. I really think that it's going to be long shot in shadow, potentially for crossing to get across the bridge.
Possibly.
It's just process of elimination. But yeah, where is that wisdom piece? Where is that power piece? We're going to see the end of spirit here before too long. And that's probably the place that holds the most promise for us to pick up a second piece. But we are rapidly running out of time, and this is going to lead to some challenging decisions for our runners. They know that they only have 28 minutes left in this seed, and they've got to try and figure out what kind of places can I go in these last 28 minutes? What kind of places should I give up on? Where's my Hail Mary in case I just get totally lost and I need to try and blindly search a place in the last 10 minutes, knowing that I'm never going to make it to the end in time? These are all the questions that our runners are thinking about as the time limit draws ever near.
Yeah, I mean, and about 10 minutes in, you will see the usual runner reflex of get in a dungeon. Any dungeon. As long as it's a dungeon, get in.
Yeah, we might see a lot of Forest Temple clears starting with 10 minutes left.
Yep.
I'm a little bit worried about Ganons. So we have a lot of runners that have been chasing those iron boots. And I'm wondering if maybe it's not irons and there could be like an item in the light trial, the final chest. It could be a key though as well. Ooh, we got a big chest coming here. Oh, not quite the gold item we were looking for.
Nuts. Mm-hmm. All right.
Oh, chat is absolutely right. There was a bomb bag in Tektite Grotto. It could be irons for bomb bag in Tektite Grotto because you have the hammer.
Good
so
point.
We do have logical bombs. So you beat Volv to get bridge access, to get your iron boots from Ganon's, to go to field, and use your iron boots and your hammer to get your logical bomb bag. So that's definitely in logic. So at least that much, we know the path. That's also horrifying. Looks like Cine has exhausted the items in Child Spirit and is now going to make the trek back to Adult to finish clearing what remains in Spirit Temple. Should be able to finish all of Spirit Temple within the time remaining without any issues, and probably would have enough time for maybe the majority of one dungeon after that should things go sour. Going to be an exciting finish. Oftentimes these time limit races come down to the very end to see if you can get to that place where you think it is before the time runs out. Looks like Water Temple coming up empty. But I do think that Chad is right about those iron boots. Looks like those iron boots baited a few people into Water Temple, but it's always scary to clear those dungeons without having the dungeons be path. I think probably Martin and Krez were hoping that they might find a Triforce piece there, but I think they didn't check Tektite, and that ended up being the answer. But Cine, heading adult, looks like we're going to get our peek at adult spirit, and of all the places we have left, I think that's very high on the list for possible Triforce pieces. So I'd keep my eyes there once we start to get into the mirror shield lock checks.
Mm-hmm.
Does Cine not have a mirror shield?
Did not pick it up out of GTG, I think.
How?
Never went.
Never went to GTG?
I don't recall him ever hitting there.
Well, that limits our chances of actually finding it. Seeing as the only way that you could get a mirror locked piece without mirror is if mirror is required for a key. And then there's one check, the boss key chest in Spirit, where potentially it could be. But yeah, now I'm nervous. Are we going to see a second piece here? This is a terrifying seed. Oh my gosh.
Okay, Toad was contemplating here for a bit what to do, and decides for fire. Or is that his way to forest? No, he's heading into fire. Not quite sure what the plan is here. What influenced that decision, I should say.
All right, so
Toad doesn't have courage yet. Whoops.
Yeah, and that's one of those like kind of strategic things. We knew from the path counts that this was going to be a mess, and when you're in a seed that's going to be a mess, it's often very safe just to really focus on those early pieces, just to kind of lock yourself in, because you never know when you're going to be here like an hour and a half later, and we're all still looking for the second piece.
It's kind of similar to. It's kind of similar to how in Multiworld, when you have a chance to set a time by beating Ganon, even though you might still find useful items for your teammates, you go beat Ganon first.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's in Triforce Blitz, it's not going to be the same right answer every single seed, because you may want to play different path counts differently, and you get that information at the beginning of the seed. So the strategy choice is all on you. Like, you get that strong confirmed information early, and you kind of choose your own adventure, so to speak. And unfortunately for Toad, I think unless he's able to track down a second piece, the tiebreak time he's going to set is going to hurt pretty bad. But that happens in
qualify. That's the important bit.
Well, when the brackets come in the Blitz tournament, every single individual one-on-one is a best of 3, because in rando, like, crazy stuff happens, and so it's not really fair to play really any sort of rando tournament as having best of 1 matches, just because of crazy stuff that can happen. So even though like Toad had some unfortunate luck this seed, missing courage for a long time, if this were the bracket stage, just having 1 bad race is never going to knock you out.
Okay. So we now know that hovers are logically required for Volve. Because of key layout.
Yeah, that kind of makes sense. Have a lot of silly bait items kind of contributing to the numbers. But yeah, Toad is going to get that piece very soon.
In about 30 seconds, yeah.
So the real question is anybody going to be able to get to Deep Spirit with the Mirror Shield before the time limit? I think Krez has got a good shot, being in Jabu now. But Krez doesn't have the Mirror Shield either. So, yeah, I don't know.
Okay, that's courage. I was getting excited there because I saw a Triforce piece on screen. But yes, that is courage for Tenacious Toad. Does he continue in fire now? I think the calculation that he might make is that, okay, it is close enough to the time limit that I probably just want to be in a dungeon. And so I might as well continue in this one.
It's not even necessarily a bad idea, because we know that Deep Fire is locked behind a whole ton of items. If any keys are locked behind that bomb bag, we know that bomb bag is locked behind Ganon's access and the Iron Boots. So, like, it could be reasonably deep. Unfortunately, though, we know that there's something in Shadow Temple that locks that Wisdom piece. So I don't think there can actually be a piece in Deep Fire, but it's definitely deeper than the rest of the dungeon.
And Toad is bailing. What's your play, Toad?
Okay, so here's the boss key chest. So if this piece is available without requiring mirror, it's going to be here.
Right, Krez has made it out of Jabu.
All right,
and it's not here.
Not there.
Small chest on the boss key location. Sunny dropping for Roar's Wind. And heading where next?
So like Martin is going to pick up Strength 2 at a very opportune time here. He's probably going to be really happy to see that. I don't know what dungeons Martin has done already, though. I'm not really sure that he's going to be able to make it through the stone dungeons in time to get Requiem to actually get into Deep Spirit, but we'll see.
Krez looks to be headed to Water Temple. Oh wait, this diving.
Yeah, this is just back adult.
Oh, okay, yeah, sorry.
The routing songs just decided to be MIA this seed.
Yeah, you're right. This is Serenade and Prelude are missing. Yeah, I was like, what is he doing? Oh, yeah, Old Express.
It wouldn't be a Blitz seed if Serenade didn't take the day off.
Fair.
So Martin, soon to get the bad news that Requiem's hard required, buddy. We'll see what he chooses to do with that information. But Krez picking up Requiem, but no Mirror Shield either, so we know that that's not going to be enough. So Cinny heading to GTG, that Mirror Shield's right at the beginning, and Cinny has Furores in Spirit. So there's a good chance that Cinny could get to those mirror lock checks pretty quickly.
So my question is, if you end up in Spirit having done those mirror lock checks and still haven't found your Triforce piece, do you fight Twin Rover? Or do you just dip into Forest hoping that you can do more checks per minute that way? Because again, Forest is pretty darn deep.
If it were me, I would be doing Twin Rova. The reason is we don't have any Spirit path hints, which means we have a path hint for Mirror, but we don't have a path hint for any items in Spirit. So there's a decent chance that the thing in Spirit that we're looking for is actually just a Triforce piece. And you just got to go all in for it. Twin Rover, for some reason, likes to hoard Triforce pieces. I don't know why it works that way, but she always has them for some reason. And it's really obnoxious, but that's how it is.
So Sunny will probably be able to actually make it back there, yeah. Fight the Gerudo guard will, I am sure, bail out of GTG as soon as we see Mirror Shield here.
Boy, there's going to be some wild seedings that come out of this race.
Oh, yeah. So do you horseback archery or GTG first?
Now, you got to go GTG first because you have 14 minutes left and you have GTG path.
Oh, yeah.
Allow to chase your paths.
Good jump slash here by Cress. But Cress is also still missing the mirror shield. Alright.
So, yeah, decision time for Cine. Let's see what he does.
Cast for Roars, come on. I want to see that. Oh.
He might do, like, right side and then go back. He knows he has enough time. That might be what I did. Well, here we go.
Equipping mirror and... Nope.
I think this is still okay.
In terms of density, in terms of checks per minute, it's a great play. For the remaining, like, 13 minutes that he has.
No, so I'll speculate on his behalf.
Okay.
Or at least what I would be doing in this situation. So I've got 13 minutes left, and you just got to calculate in your head, how long is it going to take me to do all the mirror lock checks in Spirit? He's got furores there. So probably no more than 5 if you end up doing Twin Robo. So the idea is you've got about 12 and a half minutes left. You allocate about 5 of those minutes to Twin Rova or Deep Spirit Temple, and now you've got about 7.5 minutes to work with. So you don't need to go right away. You can still probably clear almost all of GTG and still be able to get Spirit in under the time limit. But these are the kinds of really tough decisions that Triforce Blitz is going to make you think about as you get really close to that time limit, and you've really just gotta figure out very carefully how to allocate your time in. We've got a big chest in Forest Temple.
Let's go. Let's see what we have here. Big Stabby.
Big Stabby. I think Martin is full committed to Forest, and he's, like we speculated early on, he's thinking, well, I've got 11 minutes left. I don't know the logic for Forest Temple. Take a swing.
Get in the dungeon. Yeah, get in a dungeon. That is, at this point, the right play. Okay. So how much buffer do you give yourself? Like, okay, you know the rest of Spirit with Trinrova maybe takes you 5 minutes. How much do you count for Twin Rova being Troll Rova?
I'd probably go with about 6 minutes left, if it were me, just to account for me being terrible sometimes. You have 5 hearts, so the likelihood of him dying to Twin Rova is pretty low. 4 hearts is kind of the magic threshold where if you have 4, then 1 mistake can kill you, which is scary, but 5, like, you have to mess up twice, which is less likely.
Yeah, as Winnie Demon points out in chat, gotta account for Trinrova knowing that you're in a hurry and being as trolly as frickin' possible.
Alright, so while this is going on, can we pour one out for Toad, who is about to get hookshot? This hurts my heart because I think Toad routed things really well and just kind of missed the crucial magic at the wrong time, and it destroyed his routing really hard.
Yeah, that really killed him. Nice shooting. He's not gonna be happy. Yeah, That's just about the right reaction.
Yeah, you can put some bombs in that chest for the person who put it there. Which I guess technically is me, so I accept responsibility for this.
Good. It's Randobot, by the way. It's not you. So
It was me, though.
all Randomizer's fault.
Yes, all right.
You just pushed the button. The computer decided to be trolly as heck today.
I do think that Cine can get through the rest of the checks in GTG, and then Furor's back to Spirit, and still have enough time. So we should still be able to see all the mirror lock checks, assuming that Cine wants to show us the mirror lock checks.
He's peeking what's in the maze.
And on that note, Martin is going into Deep Forest, and with 8 minutes left, I am completely confident that Martin will be able to show us all of Forest Temple as well. So I think there's a good chance that we'll see all of Forest and all of Spirit before this time limit hits. And if we haven't found any more pieces by then like, good grief. And good grief not for the runners, but for the seed, because that would be remarkable, I think, if pieces didn't show up. Oh, Krez does have Mirror Shield, by the way, so we're about to get it right now.
Oh, here we go.
One down.
Not here.
And Cine is back in Spirit as well, so it's time.
It's not here, it's another key. And this side has, an item.
Well, I think we've seen everything but the mirror lock checks at this point. So Cine going back down to check that mirror lock check, and then I think maybe set Furor's in that boss key room, so maybe warp him back up there to do the other mirror lock checks.
Reasonable choice.
Hoping for a piece of heart. Want.
And for roars. Here we go.
Wow, so we've got dual Spirit Temples and dual Forest Temples for our last 6 minutes. This is pretty crazy.
Yeah, both of them are reasonably late in the logic, so could possibly contain our wisdom and or power pieces. And yeah, again, the runner instinct as the time limit draws near is to get into a dungeon and do checks. I mean, at this point, is it actually Twin Rover?
I mean, that'd be pretty on brand, honestly. Twin Rover just hoards Triforce pieces.
Alright. Slightly less than 6 minutes for fighting Naburu and then Twin Rover. Or Cine here.
Yeah, it's more than enough time.
Krez hot on his heels, probably gonna have about 5 minutes left for that. If there is a Triforce piece in Spirit, it's gonna be on Twin Rover. If there isn't, then huh?
Oh
no! So that tightens Cine's timeline a bit. Now he has to hurry.
Yeah, Cine, I think, has enough time to get back up there, but everything has to be totally clean from now on.
Yeah, and he cannot risk another hit by that Iron Knuckle.
I mean, when you're coming down to the end, like, every single mistake really matters. Like, your execution is so huge. A minute, 10 seconds could be the difference between you getting that Triforce piece at 1:59 and you getting that Triforce piece at 2 minutes, 10 seconds. Been there before.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, if you get that Triforce piece at 2 minutes, 10 seconds, it don't count. All right, so Krez now.
Krez has
He'll be
double
fighting.
defense, which gives him slightly more leeway to be a bit more risky in how he fights Naburu.
Yep, clean.
Doesn't need the leeway. From that particular corner. Get in that corner, Cinny.
I don't know if Cinny knows this strat. This is not something that you practice a lot.
Jump
and
slash.
it's not intuitive. The positioning is not intuitive for this if he's not practiced it.
This feels so bad for Cinny. If it comes down to this, man, that sucks.
Yeah, he needs to hit that chain so that it pops him to the left. What is this? This is Bolero. Oh no, he's giving up.
He's bailing. Well, it's down to Krez to show us what Troll Rover has for us.
And Mr. Martin getting to the end of Forest. Only one check remains in Forest, so if it's in Forest, it's going to be in the Falling Room, and if it's not, then he's probably out of time.
Alright, phase 1 of Twin Rover down for Krez.
I just want to point out how well Martin has timed everything out. Getting to the end of Forest with about a minute left. It's just good time management. Being able to route in the maximum number of checks in under the time limit to maximize his chances of getting the piece. And that looks like I can't see. It looks like a small chest though, but I'm not sure.
It's a small chest.
It's not in Forest.
Is it on Twin Rover?
All right, Krez is our only hope here. We got 2 minutes left, and this is probably our only hope of seeing a second Triforce piece on stream.
Cindy, meanwhile, headed into Forest.
It's there!
It's a Triforce piece. Twin Rover hoards Triforce pieces. Okay, you were right. Okay, that's the Triforce piece of power, I'm gonna call it. Oh my goodness.
Krez just jumped 30 spots because he was able... I feel so bad for Cinny too. It's such a huge difference.
Such a bad beat. One death, one hit by an Iron Knuckle was all it took for Cinny to go from runner-up in this race, pretty surely, to a pretty low seed in the brackets.
Yeah, I mean, like I've been saying, Triforce Blitz, it's probably the hardest version of Standard that's out there because one mistake like that and it's just maximum punishment. But if you're clean and you manage your time wisely, you can come from behind and get a great result. And congratulations to Krez for really clutching it, knowing how much time he had left and got paid out.
Indeed. Now he's just seeing if he can maybe grab a few more chests, see if there is just a Triforce piece chilling in a Child Climb, which might be a few steps earlier. And there's the forfeits coming in. We are at 2 hours. That is time. Jeez, what a race. So, forfeits, in this case, of course, means that the runners haven't finished their 3 Triforce pieces. They still most likely qualified. By finding... Oh, Sydney just found a big chest. Wait, we've seen that before, though.
Yeah, it's not in forest. Martin showed us all of forest.
Okay. Alright. And that's the one check that Sydney still wanted to do because he had seen it. Jeez. That is really a bad beat for Sydney, and I feel for them. That is rough.
So for what it's worth, this doesn't mean that anybody is going to be eliminated from the tournament based on this. One of the nice things about these qualifiers is that this is purely for seeding, and so all of these players are going to be in the main Triforce Blitz, or in the first round of the Triforce Blitz tournament, and they'll all be playing for an entry into the main bracket. And all of those matches are best of threes. So even having one bad match is not going to knock you out. You get a one-on-one best of three, and the winners will move on. So one bad race won't punish you too bad.
All right. Do you have a few things that you want to say, or should we interview our runners? Because Martin's already in the waiting room.
Yeah, I think if you want to pull them in, I'm just going to do some admin stuff in the race room really fast while it looks like everybody's finished.
Okay. So, welcome in, Martin. GG's.
Hello, GG's.
That was a seed. That was certainly worthy of qualifiers.
Yeah, where was Dins? That's all I wanted.
So Matt knows where Dins is. He's not telling it to us. Matt in chat is there.
Okay.
We just need to see if everyone. Okay, the race is finished. So it looks like the race is done. Race has officially ended. Matt, you can go ahead. And thanks for the raid, Cindy. Goron Pottery. Oh my god.
I was going there next. Too late.
Alright, cool. So, all the restreamed runners found the Triforce Piece of Courage.
Yep.
With our one confirmed step, Bolero.
What did you think of that?
That was nice.
Well, I skipped the back of Lon, so it had to be there or I was screwed.
Wow. How? Did you not get the hint before?
Oh, I got it. But I went to Lon before that. And then I wound up routing CAC, and I really didn't want to walk out of Lon, so I just skipped the back.
So, side note, our winner on Restream is also here. Welcome in, Krez.
Hello.
The person who won on Restream.
Oh, did I?
Yep.
So, what was the second one?
The one I got
Oh,
was
sorry, Cindy. I'm so sorry.
I'm so sorry, Cindy. You almost had it.
Oh, it was in Forest?
It's
Twin Rova.
Oh,
wow.
And I died to the Iron Knuckle before her.
I was not getting there.
Do we know where the third one was?
No clue.
I have the spoiler log, so I'll look at it.
Yeah, but in the meantime, so you saw it in the race room already. I'm just going to repeat it here on stream. From the asyncs, we had 19 people who ran this qualifier async, and the best time was 2 pieces at 1:44:51. So there was not a single person who found all 3 Triforce pieces in the asyncs. And obviously in the race room, neither.
Was Twin Rova power or wisdom?
It had to be the 20, I assume.
Yeah, it has to be power, right?
Yes, it was.
I just dismissed power and said I'm gonna find wisdom.
Yeah, I thought wisdom was in spirit.
Kind of
Well,
backfired.
GTG was Path of Power, and that had the mirror shield, so I figured Rush
Oh,
Spirit.
right.
Okay, so we have the Triforce of Wisdom was in the Deku Tree, and the Kokiri Sword was early in Shadow Temple.
Early.
So where was the Dins?
The Din's Fire was in the Goron City Pot.
I never did
Early
Shadow Goron City.
without hover boots.
They were ZL locked on Dead Hand and Bottom of the Well.
Okay.
Yeah, I meant to go back there and
But-
check those CL lock checks, but never did.
Did you need hover boots for Shadow?
Yes, I believe you did. It was
Okay.
the early Silver Rupee chest, so it was not deep in Shadow, but you do need the hovers.
Oh yeah.
So where was the bomb bag? Because I never got one.
So we believe that the logical bomb bag was in Tektite Grotto, and that the Way of the Hero, or sorry, the Path Iron Boots and Ganons were for the bomb bag, so that you could use the hammer to get it.
Where was the
Oh,
hammer?
that's what irons are for.
The hammer was sitting in
Child
Trout Fishing.
Yep.
I never did anything in Lake.
And there was also an out-of-logic bomb bag available on the Zora diving game.
And wasn't the last one in the art?
Yeah, it was
We
No, that
weren't
was a
sure if it
wallet.
was. We weren't
That
sure if
was
it
a
was a
wallet
bomb
on the
bag or a
arch.
wallet. Okay.
It looked.
I'm fairly certain that was a wallet.
Oh, was it a wallet?
I thought it was a bomb bag.
Okay, so from the comments in the race room, I see the best finisher that we've seen so far is Chuckles with 2 pieces in 114. Congrats.
That sounds like a Fire Temple Deku combination to me.
Yeah, to me too. I can't, Chuckles, I mean, if you are in chat, feel free to tell us, but that is amazing.
I still need to put my result up there.
Yeah, please put your results in the comments if you haven't already. That was impressive.
So
That
why
was-
don't I give a rundown of what all the paths were, since I'm sure everybody would like the full reveal. So I'm just going to go down the path of power, because that pretty much has everything. And I'll probably post the spoiler log in the race results room on the Zooter Discord afterwards if you want to look yourself. But for the meantime. So we have Song of Storms, obviously. Rudo's Letter is path. Hammer, Boomerang, then Bolero, obviously. That was on our path of courage. ZL. Bottom of the Well is path for a wallet, and also the hover boots, and also the fire arrows. So bottom of the well was triple path. We had Nocturne, obviously path. Iron boots were path for the bomb bag. Hookshot in Shadow 2. Amazing restream value, thank you. The bomb bag in Hyrule Field was path on the Tektite Grotto. Din's Fire in the Goron City pot. And that scale in the graveyard was also path, apparently, for the Lens of Truth in Lake Hylia, so that you could cross using your second hookshot in the very end of Shadow Temple in the Invis Floormaster chest, all so that you could get Minuet at Colossus, which is path for some reason. I'm not entirely sure. Oh, it's path. Minuet is path for forest access. And then also there's a mirror shield that you need so that you can beat Twinrova. And obviously the final path hint is for Requiem of Spirit. And that is your 20.
Wow.
I
Had to
pretty
roll a
much
20
had
path
it.
for the
I
qualifier,
just-
didn't you?
This is an all-timer for sure.
So Elagatua, put your cards on the table. Did you have someone pick a qualifier seed?
No, because if I had, I would not have let this go through.
Yeah, fair.
So for the show match, we did like a little bit of vetting, but for this one, I basically just picked the first seed that we had. I didn't look at the spoiler log beforehand, so I came into this race totally blind. So yeah, I mean that's Triforce Blitz. I mean, for what it's worth, nobody's getting eliminated based on this seed, right? So that it can happen in any rando race where you just get totally bodied by a weird seed. But when we go to one-on-ones, we play best of threes because that's the right way to do competitive rando. You shouldn't have one weird seed totally like knock somebody into like the lower bracket or out of the bracket. So That's the benefit of having a very short format, is we can let everybody do best of threes for all the races that really count. And I'm looking forward to seeing some really exciting pairings going forward.
Amazing. I mean, yeah, that's a qualifier. Cress, Martin, Sunny, do you have anything to add to that?
It was certainly a weird seed to be sure.
Yeah.
Did either of you have any different strategy based on knowing that the path counts were so high? Like, did you change your routing or like how you cleared like density, things like that?
I just decided to dismiss the 20 and not go for power because it was probably there was probably not enough time.
Yeah, I did that too, even though I did kind of rush bomb the well at the beginning.
But well is a nice place to go, I think.
Yeah.
Especially when it's triple path.
Yeah, that was funny to see.
I love it. The Path Bolero Path Wallet. That's special, honestly. And Path Lens for good measure. Why not?
I mean, if you want to have all the rare paths in one seed, this one's absolutely qualifying. We have a winner, I think, of this race. The person with the 2 Triforce pieces in 1 hour and 1 hour and 14 in chat. Chuckles, congrats. Chuckles, which 2 Triforce pieces did you pick up? Where were they?
I have a sneaking suspicion that he might have gotten a piece in Deku Tree.
I have the same suspicion, but I want to hear it from the horse's mouth.
Yeah, I don't think
Deku
you get
Tree.
the
Spirit and Deku?
What?
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 Chuckles, what?
Chuckles, how? Oh my god.
Oh.
He got us all debated.
Okay, you got us. Respect.
Yeah, there was
Oh,
no
fire
way
Deku.
you get the spirit in 1 hour.
Okay. Respect. Yep, you got us.
I guess you can
Congrats.
skip straight to the boss in the 3 dungeons that were for Requiem. Was Jabu, DC, and Forest?
Yeah, all of the dungeons locking Requiem are very fast. Unfortunately, I mean, I think the real play is to just blind go for it because you have the items pretty early if you get magic before going to Ganon's. And if you could actually just get Requiem without having to cross. Unfortunately, if you do that, you miss out on Mirror until later, which you end up needing. But there's not really a good way to do it very clean.
Yeah, when I got that mirror in GTG, I figured it was going to be in Spirit. So I was hoping the shadow paths were just for like Lens and Longshot to cross. And I was just like, I'm just going to ignore those and, get Requiem and go to Spirit.
Yeah, I was hoping the Graveyard Wisdom path was for the Rudo so that you could do all dungeons.
Yeah, I thought going to Spirit out of logic was a really smart play. And I think that's a good way to play really high counts like that, is just hope that it's Requiem for a small key. It wasn't the seed. Well, I mean, it was still Requiem for a small key, but it was a small key that you needed. But oftentimes it's not. And there was always a chance that you could have gotten to Twin Rova much earlier without actually having to do any of the Requiem checks at all.
I would have gone straight to Twinrova or just the mirror shield checks, but no keys.
Yeah.
Fortunately, I found Mirror Shield after doing the rest of Spirit.
Yeah, you were on pace, I think, to be the first person to actually find that piece on Twin Rova, but I think you took that death and then you were practicing the trick to get back up on the chain,
Yeah,
which
I couldn't
has also
get
given
back
me
up
trouble
there.
too sometimes.
So I decided to ditch that and go do checks in Forest since that's out of logic.
I don't necessarily blame you, because by the time that you weren't sure how to get back up there, I'm not sure you could have actually gotten Twinrova down in time.
Yeah, and time limit was a issue too. Otherwise, I probably would have kept trying it.
Yeah, I think it was reasonable under the circumstances. That's what Triforce Blitz forces you to do. Like, you gotta fight all the bosses with really low health and make sure all your tricks are locked down.
Yeah, if only I didn't fail that Iron Knuckle fight.
Well, I mean, it's not the end of the road. So we'll be figuring out the seedings and all of that. We'll have to compile the results because we have a number of people who did the race async, and then we'll have to put everybody in a list and figure out the total number of participants and where all the seeds go, and then we'll have an opening round reveal at some point over the next few days. I'm not going to announce an exact time because we need to talk about it offline, but expect news soon about that, and then once that's all revealed, everybody will be able to schedule their initial matches and get the best of three started. So congratulations to everybody. You survived this mess, and hope for some more straightforward seeds in the brackets, but certainly you'll be in the best of threes from now on, so hopefully a little bit less pressure.
And I think that just about wraps us up for today. So I'm going to use the opportunity to say thank you once more to everyone who volunteered and made this restream possible. That'll be commentators, trackers, runners, of course, who volunteered to be restreamed, and our restreamer himself, Hell Knight. Thank you all so much. Thank you to Sunny, Mr. Martin, Tenacious Toad, and Krez for putting on a heck of a show. Thank you to our trackers Shannock, Lazy, Shredder, and Lady Draco. Thank you to my co-commentator Elagatua, and I've been Tobias. Thank you very much, and dear viewers, thank you for checking this stream out. Thank you for watching, and have a great evening / afternoon / whatever your time zone